time to give it to ya. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's happening, my good people? Y'all know what today is. It is not our anniversary. No, 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 no. They don't know. They don't know about this. It's our anniversary. Today is Monday, and you guys are tuned in to America's favorite podcast and live stream about hair. That's why we're talking about the dumbest show that people say about black hair. It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha Wright, a.k.a. Lolo. And then y'all know who, wrong finger. Y'all know who that is right there. That's my PNC. That's right, my partner in cosmetology. And you guys know we have the ultimate show for you tonight. We have the one and only Mr. Kofi Piesie. I got his book right last week. I didn't have the book, but this week I have his book. It's about Africa's hair. Now, if you guys have been rocking with us for a while, and I know some of you have, you guys already know that Cheryl and I, we've been rocking with y'all, talking about this 4C hair and all of this texturism, these new words people have come up with, the natural hair movement. Well, we have Kofi Piesie here today, and hopefully he can, give us some context. And now we have a book that we can all use as a reference that's going to help us have a better conversation about hair, because when it comes to hair and black folk, we just be losing our minds. But before Cheryl make a comment about that, because Cheryl, I want to know, why do we lose our minds about when it comes to this hair thing? What's up, Mika? And we're going to go ahead on and, because y'all know we have a theme song, right? So we're just gonna let that theme song get that bill by homegirl Rachel Evans. Not a lot of podcasts have their theme song, not hair podcasts anyway. Okay, so let's bring it on, homegirl Rachel Evans. Sister, let me do your hair. Look at my little Elvis piece. Hey. What's up, good people? What's up, Marianne? How you doing, Marianne? Peace. Oh, we got Daddy in the Chizzy chat. Daddy, this song dedicated to you. Here you go, Daddy. Daddy, here we go. What's up, Daddy? You ever had a girl serenade to you live on YouTube? Here you go, here you go. Notice I'm pantomizing because I can't sing. Let me do your hair. You know what, Danny? It's the first time for everything. Ain't that right, Cheryl? Here we go, Danny. What's up? Here we go, Danny. You'll be so very happy if you would let me do your hair. Danny, if you let me do your hair, you will be real happy. I'm just saying. Kofi gonna come in and he's gonna let me do his hair too. Let me do your hair. All right, y'all. Let me do your hair. You know when I hear that beat? Boom. Check this out. Boom. When I hear that beat right there, Cheryl, I think about
Boom.
that old school 98 Public Enemy. Like my 98 Oldsmobile is
Right.
soup, soup. What's up, Daddy? They don't know about that old school because I heard that beat back there back in the day. We used to actually drive in cars with guys and they would play music. I know you guys might find that hard to believe, but that actually used to be a date. We used to like
Yes,
get in
yes,
the
it's right
car,
around.
we
Just
just
right
ride
around.
around. We had nowhere to go. We would just ride around, listen to some music. Yeah, with some hip hop. Every now and then we play a little love song. For the most part, we had to know the 98 old bill. It's like soup, soup, soup. Tonight we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful show. And I'm just very, very excited. And I think you guys are actually going to love this. Kofi is in the chat, like, come on, y'all share the show. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that hearts up button. But today, the topic, now y'all know I'm a little buck wild, my little PNC over here, my little BAP, she are, But today I'm gonna be about it. All right, Danny, I'm not gonna be nice today, okay? What y'all know, okay? So, sure, before we bring Mr. Kofi into the chat, I just want to know um, what why is this hair thing, particularly when it comes to Black people or African Americans? Why are we so? What's up with us and this hair that we have to have? Let me just tell y'all a little bit about Kofi Piesie right quick. Now we so insane about this hair, sure. Before you answer this question, Kofi Piesie is my dear friend. I met him through my BFF Chill. Um, I'm sorry, I got his notes over here. Sorry, Kofi. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay. A little bit about Kofi. He's a Pan-Africanist. He's a lecturer. He's an author. He's a member of the Seshu Mane Medunetter. Let me say it again. The Seshu Mane Medunetter, and that is the study of the ancient Egyptian languages and writings. I'm sorry, writings. He also is a member of the Masi warrior clan. What's up? Spears are flying. I hope I said that right. And pseudos, y'all about to get killed tonight. That's what I said. Killed. All right. So spears are flying and pseudos. Y'all gonna die tonight. Y'all gonna die. Because the Masi warrior clan, that's their expertise. They are very passionate about West African history. And he's also the founder of the Kofi Piesie research team. And what they do is they specifically study African American and African history, culture, language, and so on and so forth. So in a few minutes, I'm going to bring Kofi into the chat. Now, the one thing I want to say about this is that these are all brothers. Typically it's just me and Cheryl. We're the only smart women out here in the world of hair. And no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so it's just Cheryl and I that's out here. We're all passionate about hair, but these are a group of guys. I call them the rogue scholars because these brothers. Let me tell y'all something. Don't get pseudo on them because they just I just seen them. They done took them spears and whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They did some serious things. Okay, but Cheryl, why we so crazy? What's up, BFF? We got Atlanta representing, baby. Why we so crazy about this here? Come on, talk to us. What's wrong with us in America? Something.
I've, I've asked myself that question. I think that Afro hair, Afro-ness is what makes us uniquely. I think it's probably the spectrum in terms of it is so extreme that it makes us probably the most unique human beings on the planet. And so, you know, and let me just say this. I think that we are more fascinated by the racist conversation that science, mathematics, spiritualism, and Africanism anything that has to do with a space where we could feel ourselves. And hair is just one of those embodiments, one of those physical traits that allows us to have an exclusive conversation without having westernness and whiteness and straightness in the conversation. So
Now that was very nice, but I want you to just tell me the truth. Y'all watch out now. Here I go. Just what's some of our unresolved issues? Just go ahead and say it.
well,
Do
black
African American do we have some unresolved issues that we struggling with that we gotta have this man come on and he wrote this book? I mean, everybody writes about hair except the
I
people who
think
do
it's
it.
time
So
for everybody to jump into the conversation because one of the things that life is a pearl, and everyone brings a piece of it to give us a different perspective, so we can get back to the African core and our African center, things that make logical, chemical, harmonial, spiritual sense. So this directs our lives, so we know how to. But Black people are still learning how to talk about Blackness. They don't know how to talk about Blackness. Africanness is, of course, is a nationhood identity, which helps because there's Africa is the landmass where most of us look like the way we look. That is where that diverse. That's where we how we look. We don't can't go to Asia. Most people don't look like us. But I will say that I think that we are trying to learn how to talk about ourselves in a way that has nothing to do with an opposite standard. White is not the standard. White is not the opposite of black. Black has no opposite. It is that vast. So anyway, but
okay.
Mr.
Okay,
Kofi,
okay.
I'm sure
Uh,
Mr. Kofi will enlighten us.
all right. You say white is not the opposite of black?
No.
Okay, I feel some kind of way. I feel some kind of way. Okay. All right, white ain't the opposite of black. This what happens when you tune in, when you go live, when you get buck wild. That's what I said. They don't even use the word buck wild no more. Remember that? Wow,
Buckwild?
wow. And it's what you gotta do? Wow, wow. All right, so Kofi's gonna bring us back to reality because I don't understand this whole thing. White is not the opposite of black. So Kofi, I'm gonna bring you in. I wish I had some Kofi beats. So in the meantime, we're just gonna hit some beat box. I'm gonna bring in my homeboy Kofi. All right. What's up? What's up? What's up, brother Kofi? How you be?
Peace, peace. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Oh, we are doing so good now that we have you in the chat to help us get this conversation started. So, I'm a little crazy because I see you on the chat, Ladosha is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just a little passionate, you know what I'm saying? Just a little passionate. But let me ask you the question, what's wrong? What's wrong with black people in America? I wish I should have screenshot this clip when we went to West Africa and we went to visit uh, his a griot, what you call yourself the griot. His name is the Stone Man. May he rest in peace. And he lived pretty much on the island of Janjanbureh, which sits in between Gambia and Senegal. And we were asking him some questions about the hair. And in the chat, the people were like, Americans are so stupid. Why are they wasting that man's time talking about some hair? I felt this wrong. So, what's wrong with us? Or is it wrong? Or why are we just so, like, we just be tripping about black hair, 4C hair, texturism? Folks, what's your thoughts? What's wrong with us? Come on, keep it 100.
Um, I mean, the lack of education is one. Uh, trauma is another one. A trauma has a lot to do with why we say and why we do some of the things that we do when it comes to our hair or just our image in general. We have to understand that this trauma has been passed down from generation to generation. The things that took place on those ship ports, the things that took place on those slave ships and the things that took place on the plantation. There was a lot of things that was happening during the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th century, as far as coming to destroying our image. So they had, years upon years to destroy our identity. Once one would get onto the ship, they would do what? They would shave their heads. This was to dehumanize them, and this was to take away their identity. The same thing when you go to you go to prison. They cut your hair off. Is the first thing that they do when you get there. They cut your hair off. They is destroying your identity. Even when you go into service, they do the same thing. They cut off your hair. This is to again to destroy or dehumanize you. So you see, so these things are still taking place, but this is something that was happening on the plantation. Once they got on these once they got on these ships, you know, this term that we use, that we endure, I know we all accept this term, but I don't accept the term in my vocabulary, and that's the word nappy, right? And this word, if you go and look and see when this term start to appear, you start to see it around this term, because they never thought that we was human at all. Some thought that we didn't even, this wasn't even hair that we had on our head. So now they begin to describe not only our skin tone as being ugly and atrocious, if they start talking about our hair being, uh, unattractive, it's woolly. So they start using these derogatory terms: nappy, tough, peppercorn, matted. They start using
Ooh,
all
I
these.
think I like peppercorn. Hold up,
You like,
Kofi. Now wait a minute. Now I love peppercorn. Anybody like peppercorn? All in favor of peppercorn? Put the PC in, not popcorn. Peppercorn. Peppercorn. Okay, but now let me just play devil's advocate, because I read a little. I do read. I know I don't look like I read, but I do.
mm-hmm.
And Cheryl, maybe you can help me out. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I heard that the real reason they was cutting our hair off was so we wouldn't have lice. Now, have you heard that narrative before, Cheryl? That's why they was cutting it? No. Cheryl, like, okay. Both of y'all looking at me like, well, I ain't gonna tell you.
I'll let Kofi have that one.
I mean, I research like this. I've been researching this. This ain't something that I did fly by night. This was something that I've been researching for the past 5 years. And, you can go back and verify what I'm saying. I have a presentation that I did 4 or 5 years ago in an article that I wrote on my blog site, Kofi Piesie Written Composition. So I have tons of books that I have read, and articles that I have read. I even wrote an article, right? But I never seen anything in my studies and my research dealing with that. But it could be. I'm not saying you wrong, but because in the chapter in my book, in chapter 2, I start off about prehistoric hair, right? So I talk about I don't know if people on the panel, prescribe to evolution, right? So I talk about the ancestor to the Homo sapiens sapien, the human, right? Which is the Homo erectus or the Homo ergaster, right? So I talk about them domesticating fire millions of years ago before they went extinct 200,000 years ago. So during that period of them domesticating fire and migrating into cold areas, and happen to take shelter because of the cold area, over times we know DNA make minute changes. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So them creating clothing and so forth, when you study natural selection and evolution, right? We go through these processes, we begin to go through these stages, so they begin to lose a lot of their hair. Now, a lot of people may not like Charles Darwin, right? But reading Charles Darwin work, right? And he was talking about the same thing about them losing hair. Losing hair was the greatest thing for the Homo erectus to do before, till we got to the Homo sapiens sapien, was hair. Less hair made it healthy. During that time, hair, they was, they parasites, all this hair and et cetera, it will cause health issues, right? So they will have lice and parasites, right? So, but this is the reason why, before I get into prehistoric hair, I talk about the invention of the comb, that with this tool that is one of the oldest tools, which is the comb. I'm not saying it's the oldest, but it's one of the oldest. So I talk about the comb and why the comb was invented. The comb was not also invented for detangling the hair, right, or styling the hair, but it was, it was also used for health issues. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Dealing with lice and dealing with parasites. So I wanted to highlight those types of things before I even get into it. So I'm saying that it could be that their perspective could be like that, because they already thought we were subhuman, right? So,
Okay.
so it could be, but just from my 4 or 5 years of just been researching on this topic, I
All
have
right.
across them shaving the head. I come
For
across
life.
the fact
Okay.
that them
Well,
do.
everybody got their little twist on it. I hear you, but I just want to throw that in there because I'm Kilo Law, and y'all know I keep it 100. We got some silly people in the chat. We got your member Sean. You see Sean? Why Sean so crazy? He said, "Take off the hat because you bald headed." You know what I'm saying? Danny said, "What's up?" Danny said, "For sure." That they did. Let me just put that up there so we can kind of see what he had to say. He said, yeah, they did use the term peppercorn to describe the hair of the Buddha statues. I'm gonna have to look up peppercorn and see what that looks like. But I'm not. That's why I love this podcast, because you learn something here every day, and you just never know what's going to come out of the mouths of Kilolo, Cheryl, and then today we have Kofi Piesie. Now we want you guys to stick around because we have some wonderful news that we're going to be sharing with you. That's going to, holding Afro hair in its highest regard. So thank you, Danny, for co-signing that statement. But now, based off of what you just said, what made you write this book, Africa's Hair? Why not black hair? Why did you choose the term Africa's Hair? And then we'll just go into before, during, and after. And if I cut you off a little bit, I'm sorry, because I got these questions and I want to make sure we get some of the good stuff answered. Now, if you guys have any questions in the chat, please, by all means, drop them in for Kofi, and I'm gonna throw Cheryl in on sometimes, because Cheryl, she be, she ain't like Kilo Law, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So why not hair? Why not just black hair? Why did you say Africa's hair? Why this title? What's up? Why did you do this book? And why this title?
The reason why I wrote this book is because of you and Cheryl. I started watching. It's just the honest truth. If you go back and look at one of my commercials, I just did a new one. If y'all hadn't checked it out, but it's pertaining to nappies. So I use. But this, and the first one I did it was a commercial, but it was my everyday life. It was me getting up every morning, brushing my teeth, coming straight in, getting a cup of coffee, coming straight in and studying and turning on my laptop, and either sitting at my desk or sitting at the desk in this room and turning on y'all podcasts every day. So,
hey Cheryl, what's up, boo? We doing something out here in this world. So you watch Cheryl and I. What Cheryl say? Cheryl said something. I know she did, because Cheryl be getting. She be getting it.
I am all ears.
Yeah. So, and just you put me in a documentary. You put me in a documentary kind of like definitely put it on top, because I started to write it and do it for and just surprise people with it, but then I stopped writing a book, and then I started writing the Mandingo Theory, the castration of Africans, and the sex crazy conceptualization. But once you started going full force and promoting and start seeing things and saying you wanted me involved in the documentary, and then you let me see a few clips, it kind of like motivated me. I got to pick it up. And the initial goal was I wanted to try to have the book out simultaneously with the documentary, but I dialed it back because I wanted to be able to send you and Cheryl, and I sent the book to a few barber instructors, a few cosmetologist instructors. So I wanted them to look at it and have the book before I actually put the book out, and send it to a few of my colleagues to look at it as well.
All right, so Cheryl and I, we got you on this role that you wanted to do a book about Africa's hair, and so you're writing this book now. What's the purpose? Like, what was it about the content that we were doing that you felt we needed to have? Because this is and we're going to go a little bit into it again. And the book is not available right now, but Kofi is. It is.
It came out Thursday.
It came out Thursday.
I've been on the book tour already. I've been rolling out interviews left and right. So
we first. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, y'all big. But yeah, it came out Thursday. It's on my website, www.saintreedifferentbrandspublishing.com.
All right, somebody, can you drop that in the chat for us?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got why you wrote the book. And so it was fueled by some of the content that Cheryl and I was talking about. Was it something that stuck out to you that really said, I want to add some more, I want to expound upon a comment or something in the chat that you really felt like that you, because this is you, I mean, you went before, during, and after. So how did you get to before, during, and after?
Well, I mean, a lot of stuff that y'all shared on here, it was some stuff that I didn't even know of, specifically when you're talking about the hair and the hair care industries and the products and the styling over here. So I was learning from there, but I was like, okay, but it's not enough of I wanted to add what I learned from what y'all had, and then add what I know far as dealing with African culture, tradition, and history, because I've been studying for 10 years. So so it gave me an idea. They got it locked down on the hair care industry, here, the styles, the textures, all this. Let me add my 2 cents in on it, and I'll talk about before, during, and then after, because y'all talk about after, and then y'all kind of talk about doing. I hear Cheryl, she does a good job of talking about doing slavery well. So I said, well, let me do during, before, and after. So that's what,
Wow. All right now, Cheryl. Okay, now I have Cheryl, your dad's book, 400 Years Without a Comb, and I think that your dad would be like, wow, and this is what I said. I'm not making this up, guys. When I met Cheryl's dad, Dr. Willie Morrow, I told him that I would do my best to make sure that his legacy goes forward. And now your comment, Cheryl, was that people should write books because of the pearl. Can you repeat that? And I'm going to ask you a question about your father's book. Why people should contribute, because you know me, I feel like if you ain't a hairstylist, shut the hell up. Okay, you know what I'm saying? But Kofi shut me down. So excuse me, Cheryl. A little bit more about other people giving, lending to the conversation about hair, and then a little bit about your father's book, just to kind of recapture in case people want to know why did he do 400 Years Without a Comb, and you have Kofi before, during, and after.
I think that your first question, when you say that the fascination about hair, fascination about beauty, fascination about our presence, our image, our persona, and just in dealing with our collective self-esteem about it. And so the 400 Years Without a Comb, it was revised 3 times, but it was in 3 different decades, because as you'd say, Black people are one of those forces on the planet that evolves in so fast and so quickly that being trendsetters and bringing about the old with the of antiquity and then pushing it forward as it is Afrofuturism. So the conversation needs to continue, and it needs to continue that, as it is formed into a wonderful pearl, everybody brings a different piece and a different angle. And and this happens to be the anniversary of the Foreigners turned 50 this year. He wrote it in 1973. I think that it's important that other voices, other perspectives of their genius, other ideas come to the forefront, because it enlightens us in different way. People did learn differently. I can be quite clinical and historic, and sometimes, and then Brother Kofi comes around and really touches us in such a different way and reaches in and makes things make sense in his version in translation. And Ladosha, when you bring Key Lolo out, and then you touch us a different way on that other side. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so we express ourselves, and not to make a point, but that's the point of gene expression. That's the point, because we have a different way of expressing ourselves, and that's why it's important. By the way, y'all, now I'm a nerd, right? I just want you guys to know that peppercorn is a cannabinoid, and
what's that? That's my zodiac sign, cannabinoid. What's up, Danny? I'm a cannabinoid. What's your zodiac sign?
It has the same phyto health benefits as cannabis.
Okay.
Peppercorn.
I never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, America's favorite podcast and live stream about hair. Where you gonna learn this stuff? Let's get some shout outs right quick, Kofi, and we're gonna come back to before. I see I got my boss in the chat. What's up? I see you, Sineferu. How you doing? Whoops, where did I go? Sorry, guys. Happy birthday. We got a birthday girl in the chat, the one and only, the lovely Miss B. Y'all see her name in the chat, Billy's daughter. Happy birthday. I love you very much. Donna Bell, what's up? My cousin, Nicole, what's up, Nicole Lee? And happy belated birthday to my Aunt Mary, who would definitely be in the chat if she was here. She also has a question for you, Kofi, about balding, which we're going to get to that. And then again, we have Mika, and we got Sean in the chat ranking on his homeboy and his pen mate, Kofi Pie-sigh. So again, welcome everybody. Welcome Rashida. Welcome boss. And I appreciate you guys so much for joining us. This is a dynamic discussion. We are interviewing the one and only Kofi Piesie of the Massey Warrior Clan and the Kofi Piesie research team. And he is about to take us into a little bit about Africa's hair before. Now, Kofi, while you're doing that, let me just bring in a little clip, because y'all know I'm the clip expert nowadays, since I think I'm somebody. So I'm going to bring in this little clip, all right? Because these clips, they always just make things a little, oh, wait, here you go, a little spicy, a little saucy. So, Kofi, let me play this clip for you as we talk about hair before. And because some people feel like that this is our hair. And I know Cheryl talked about that. So let's see what this woman, how she confronted this gentleman about a hairstyle.
Very odd story. A seemingly white male from San Francisco State University was accosted by a seemingly black female, apparently because he had dreadlocks, and the black female felt that he had appropriated an element of what she feels is black culture. It seems as though the black woman is starting to physically approach this seemingly white male because of her anger over his appropriation of black culture.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
You're saying that I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's my culture. What you talking about, Will?
Do you know it was in Egyptian culture? Are you Egyptian? Nah, bro, you're not. Are you Egyptian? No,
Are you Egyptian?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, where's Egypt? Tell me.
Hi, Kofi. That's why we're having this podcast. Again, we're talking about the dumbest shit. And I do mean the dumbest shit that people say about black hair. You say Africa's hair. She said this is our hair. Kind of hit that up and then take us to before, because he said that the locks were styles that were worn by Egyptians, and he wanted to know, are you Egyptian? And she was like, is your mama Egyptian? No, she was just going off on this guy. What's up with that? Do we own black hair? And then take us into Africa's hair before slavery, which I'm not implying that locks were, it's just Africa. I just wanted to use that to build on this. Okay, so Kofi, do we own this? Do we own this hair thing called black? Can he wear those locks? And then go into before slavery. Was we clowning like this? Was we wilding out like that up in here? Whoops. I think we lost him. He'll be right back. There we go. Okay. Were we clowning like this when we were cave people? Said you with a bone, smack folks upside the head.
I couldn't. I don't know if that was just me, but I couldn't hear what. I'm sorry, man. Folks is calling me all out the blue. But I couldn't hear what they were saying. The sound was muted. Could you hear what the commercial? I couldn't hear.
Okay, here we go. Let's try it for you. Let's try it one more again and turn your ringer off. Here we go. Let's try it again.
Very odd story. A seemingly white male from San Francisco State University was accosted by a seemingly black female, apparently because he had dreadlocks, and the black female felt that he had appropriated an element of what she feels is black culture. It seems as though the black woman is starting to physically approach this seemingly white male because of her anger over his appropriation of black culture.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
You're saying that I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture? Why?
Because it's my culture.
What you talking about, huh?
Do you know it was in Egyptian culture? Are you Egyptian? Nah, bro, you're not.
Are you Egyptian?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, where's Egypt? Tell me.
Okay, Kofi, there you have it. So basically, he had locks in his hair, and she felt that he should not be wearing the locks because he's not black. And he questioned her by asking her, by telling her that locks was an Egyptian hairstyle. I'm looking at the hairstyle, though these are a little bit different from what he had. And she said, he said, well, are you Egyptian? He said, no. Are you Egyptian? So basically, she said that white people can't be wearing these. What's up with black people feel like they own all of Africa's? Do we own this? And then take us into, like I said before, when we smacking people upside the head with a bone, talk about some, you can't wear that, ooga, 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 back in the day. I'm just saying.
No, I don't think that we can say that we own them. I talk about locks in my book, and Cheryl, I had to go back twice. Like Cheryl said some stuff, and I'm like, wow, I need to add this. And then Cheryl said something else. I said, I need to add this. So Cheryl had me to go back like twice and even look at something else too. And I had to go back and add it to the book. I don't know if locks originated in Africa, but I do know that when we talk about locks, I know, Cheryl, you mentioned the Mau Mau Rebellion, and then I know one point you mentioned the Rastafarians. Like the Rastafarians, Leonard started the Rastafarians in 1935. So Rastafarians made locks popular. And it was a rebellion, because I talk about it in the book when I said, when you first mentioned it, I was like, I'm not sure, you know what I'm saying? And I was kind of like against it, but I said, let me go do my research for it, as this style. I know about the style, but it being a rebellion hairstyle, right? I know we had the Afro was a rebellion hairstyle here in the 60s and the 70s, right? So I already knew about the Rastafarians, but I said I didn't know particularly about the ins or out of this hairstyle, right? So she was actually correct on that. But the Rastafarian started in 1935. Then you mentioned the Mau Mau, because we have to look at dates, right? So when we look at the Mau Mau rebellion, it was from 1952, I think, to 1960 something. I can't remember, but I'm familiar with Kenya culture, right? So the Mau Mau, this was not a group of people. This was an army, and this was consist of the Kikuyu people, the Imbu people, the Morrow people, and the Maasai, not the Masi, but the Maasai, right? And they warriors prior to that time of the Mau Mau in the 20th century, right? I have pictures in my book that dates back to the 13th and 14th century, right? The Maasai always wore their hair with red ochre. This resembles a warrior. So so you will see this in East Africa. You will also see this in West Africa, where this style was created, and you would know that you would distinguish these peoples from warriors. Now, going back to what we're talking about, the hair was represented as different distinctions, right? You would know one who was of royal status from their hair. You would know one who was an executioner. Like let's go back to the dreadlocks of what we call it today, right? They had different terminologies, and these were just styles. These were styles. A lot of these styles weren't permanent styles, because we know doing hair was a social activity. But when we look at the Ashanti people, right, their priest wore matted locks, long matted locks in their hair. So you would know that this individual was a priest. Then you might go to East Africa, you might see a same thing with the matted lock. This individual may be considered a royal executioner. He will be an executioner because of the long matted locks that he was wearing.
Okay, let me interrupt you right here. So Cheryl, he does. He has it right here on page 63. Now he is dropping the link where you guys can get the book in the chat. And we're going to go a little bit before slavery. We're going to shift gears a little bit. He says, let me get this for you, Cheryl. There was something thrown out on my sister Ladosha Wright's Monday show on YouTube about dreadlocks. And I said, I want to clarify one thing. I can't quite remember exactly what Ladosha's brilliant. Why she'll get that nice adjective. Co-host said, but it was something along the lines of dreadlocks being created or worn for resistance or rebellion against European powers. And then he goes on. So he did mention that we did inspire him. So I just wanted to put that on the record, that because I'm Petty Franklin like that, guys. Cheryl, did you want to say something right quick?
Well, I think unfortunately, and I think that this is one of the reasons why conversations like this need to happen, is because the three people in the video, right? And this is our problem. We conflate race, class, and culture, and then hairstyling. They don't belong contextually in the same conversation. Because when you have a people that suffer from lack of information, and then we deploy a conversation, she was emotionally reacting. She was not really the fact that she was bothered because the fact that he was white, but now hair and the freedom to express is now, she conflated him to having white privilege of appropriation, and then for somehow she wanted that as an exclusive privilege to being black. And see, we have to learn how to talk about our essence. And let me explain when I said black does not have an opposite. I don't know if you guys ever understand the color spectrum, the temperature spectrum, the pH spectrum. Any spectrum, the both ends are black. White is in the middle. Okay. It's void. It's not an opposite. And see, once we understand how to talk about blackness and history and culture and hairstyling is something that we do just on the tribal level. But when you get to the other esoteric art forms, and it moves away from the social illnesses of the lower vibrations below tribalism, that is what we keep getting confused about because we're emotional about it. And if people like ourselves on the podcast, if we can gently allow Black people to emotionally get it out and be able to compartmentalize all of that stuff that they got into geographics. Then they got into landmass. Where is Africa and where is Egypt? Because the young man did take Egypt out of the continent of Africa, so she had to put it back in. But then there was an added layer, and then they weren't talking about what actually bothered her about it. And what Black people, even if Black people can understand that white straight hair can't tangle, it doesn't lock quite the way, so it needs something added to it. It needs oil, it needs dirt, it needs lint, it needs other outside environmental forces in order to mat into a lock and then put into a tendril. But it's unfortunately, so now they've talked about race, class, hair discrimination and geographical power and class and right, and they were talking about a lot, and she was only trying to say one thing. It's unfortunate that we don't know how to talk about our essence.
And this is why, Kofi, I love you for writing this book, because the way you write this book, you talk to us. When you read this book, it's like you talking to Kofi. I'm
right.
like, I was reading the book like
Kofi's talking to us.
Right. I was like, what you say, Kofi? Yeah, you right. So this is what I call a user-friendly book. But to Cheryl's point, Kofi, and to your point, that we just don't have the information. And so you're taking us to before slavery. Why did you want to do before slavery? Because, I mean, you keep hearing people say, Black folk, can't y'all just get over slavery? So help us out. Why did you do before slavery? Why didn't you just go and just,
I mean, many reasons, especially I wanted to talk about in the beginning of the book before, like a lot of the things that we do over here in North America, we think that these things are a natural phenomenon, but these things has been going on for centuries. The dyeing of the hair, so I talk about the dyeing of the hair in there, the braids. A lot of people think that braiding hair is synonymous with slavery. Braiding, that's incorrect. They were braiding their hair in Africa as well. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the significance behind hair. Everybody know, okay, I use the word kimoyo, but most people use the word African traditional religion, and they use the word African spirituality, right, to describe those things. But again, when you say African spirituality, what are you encasing all those ethnic groups' way of life in? Are you talking about the Akumi system in Ghana? Or are you talking about the Adana or Odinani system in Nigeria? Or are you talking about Fataru in Senegal and Gambia? Or are you talking about Gulu Wankulu in East Africa and Tanzania? So where are you? So we encasing them all in their African traditional religion. Just that you doing the same thing. We have no agency over that word. That's the reason why I wrote the book, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. We didn't come up with that term. It was popularized by John Mbiti, who was a priest, right? Who was a priest in Kenya, who was a preacher. Another Oduwa, who was a Nigerian preacher, who pushed this forward to get into academia to recognize African as a religion, right? But I wanted to make sure that it is connected to that spirituality. So when you look at it, they believe that the spirit dwelled in the hair. They believe that they could communicate with the supreme deity or the supreme deities through the hair. Because when you look at African art, that's why I wanted to talk about art. Hair is resembled in their art. So their hairstyles was the same on their art, but their heads were bigger on the art. And their heads, reason why their heads being bigger, because they resemble that the head is the communication of the entire body, right? And the hair sits on the highest point that communicates the whole body, right? So it is connected to Kimoyo. It is connected, it is a element. So when we talk about oral tradition, we got to talk about hair. When we talk about rites of passages, we got to talk about hair. When we talk about rituals, we got to talk about hair. When we talk about sacrifice, we got to talk about hair. When we talk about venerating the ancestors, we got to talk about hair. We cannot leave that hair out. It is connected and it is important to their culture. And there's no misconfusion. If I had a thing for Sister Cheryl, and Cheryl had her hair a specific way, I already know Cheryl is taken. Oh, she's married. So I already have an understanding. Okay, I see a young female that looks like she's a young adult, but she's wearing her hair and let's just go to South Africa. And the Himba girl is wearing her hair in the front, right? I know that this girl she's still a young girl. She has not been recognized by her community as a adult yet. So there's no understanding. I know that I cannot approach her because she is still a young girl. She is not even an adult yet. So it's so many different things that that distinguishes where hair was very, very important. It was, like I'm saying, it was a social thing where we all got together and we did things, but also to clear up the things that Africans were dirty and Africa's hair was unkept. Even though I have pictures of Africans' hair being unkept, but an African at that time that had their hair unkept was that they was in mourning. So you would see, even when you sick, you not finna doll up and go to the hospital with your hair whipped up. And when you identify.
Excuse me. I digress. I do. Go ahead.
Oh, you do. Oh, okay. Well, you one of the exceptions. You crazy. I ain't studying about how I'm looking. So, but being sick or ill, or someone in mourning, I talk about the shaving of the hair. They would shave their hair and then use that hair as a wig. We think wigs is a new phenomenon. They did it back during mourning. After they would cut their hair off and they get through with the mourning, they would make a wig out of the hair and put the hair back on their heads.
Right.
And they would use hair as an amulet of protection when they would shave the baby's head, saying that the spirit is now entering into the world of the living. And then they would shave the heads of the dead people, saying now that the spirit is leaving the living world and going back into the spiritual world.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, boy, this chat on fire, Cheryl. This is what we do. This is what we do here on America's. Did you guys hear what I said? I'm about to change to the world. This is the world's best podcast about hair. We're talking the dumbest. And as we can see, the dumbest shit that people say about black hair, per Kofi and per Cheryl's comments, is that we don't have, we have the information and the education, but we're not using it. Cheryl says that, yes, her father, he had 3 versions of this book. And this year, 400 Years Without a Comb marks the 50th year of the celebration. And that when authors like Kofi Piesie writes a book, Africa's Hair, Before, During, and After Slavery, it's this type of book that becomes the pearl and makes the conversation about hair a lot more effervescent. I'm trying to find a big fancy word like Cheryl, but y'all know I'm real projecty. So if that is sour, but y'all know what I meant, okay? So Kofi has something to bring to the table. And as you can see here, we're talking about Africa's hair before, during, and after slavery. So we're coming up at 7 o'clock. Now, we know that education is an issue, Kofi. So how could parents, teachers, cosmetology schools, hairstylists, I know this book is sitting in my salon for people to read, and they are reading it, and everybody is intrigued about this hairstyle, which I want you to talk about. How can professionals and lay people and parents, foster parents, are always looking for books for their children, transracial adopted parents, same-sex parents. They're always looking for really, easy, fun, but factual reads. So how can everyday people and scholars and historians, how can they use your book to help them understand hair, Africa's hair, or just hair in general?
Well, I got it broke down in the sections for a reason. One is I hope they be able to use it where they able to educate others on the importance of hair and the role that hair played. You know what I'm saying? And um, I the different chapters I got wrote down for also to eradicate. One is to eradicate this word. I know that we use this word a lot and we have honed onto this word as a dormant, but I want people to know that when you say the word nappy, it you're saying that you are inferior. You know what I'm saying? You're saying that you're subhuman because this is how they use this word, even though we take the word and we use the word nigga. I hear this word a lot, but just because I hear the word a lot, I don't use this word because I know where the word comes from, just like the word nappy. So hopefully that they can be able to get an understanding by understanding where this word comes from, and why it was used and how it was used against us and how it has passed down. And it's been over 400 something
Okay.
years.
All right. I know we got, okay. I know it's 7:02, but Kofi, what's wrong with why you so happy when your hair is so nappy? As for Apple, J as for Jack, you ain't got no hair in the back. What's wrong with them BDBs? I don't know why y'all trying to act like y'all don't know what I'm saying,
Oh, I'm
because y'all know. But what? I mean, let's just be honest here, because some people love nappy, they love kinky. What other word help them right now? I know your book has more in the detail, but can you give us another word? The nappy, kinky, can't you, don't you, cookabuzz, BDBs. Y'all stop
oh,
laughing at me.
I, I don't know. I'm just saying we use what's happening is we continue to use words that they've been using since the 20th century, these derogatory terms, and
Okay.
we continue to use these derogatory terms. Let's have some agency over our own words. So let's create our own words. Let's get together and think of some words to describe what our hair look like. I hadn't come up with none, but I'm saying let's stop using those derogatory terms and just
Hmm.
come up with something else. Let's have agency. That's my main thing. Agency over the things that we have. We regurgitate these these derogatory terms. I don't like that
Okay.
either.
She don't like nappy either. All right. All who don't like nappy in the chat put it in. Like Trina, you don't know nan. All right. Tightly curled. Okay. Come on, y'all. Let's get some. This is what we do here on the world's favorite podcast about hair. We help change the narrative. So Kofi is asking everybody right now, what's another word? Coily. I like y'all. I thought you just liked them, Cheryl. I like Cheryl's. She got Bap up there. Can we say Bappy? What about Bappy? No, not Bappy. Uh, yeah, coily, tightly coiled. So let's come up with some new terms, and I agree with you. Okay, so one more, and then Cheryl and I, we have another wonderful announcement to share with you guys. Let's see, what is he saying? Who is this? Sutek. He said, I don't have a problem with nappy. He said he all right with nappy. I don't like nappy either. I will be honest. I don't. You know why I don't like nappy? Because it makes people think that their hair is difficult to manage, and people become very aggressive and they avoid. I like this book because what I see as a cosmetologist who works behind the chair every day, I see a large group of people who are trying to escape the responsibility of caring for their hair because they believe, especially in the natural hair movement, some, not all, but there's a lot of rhetoric that says Black people don't have to comb their hair. And I like that your book is helping us bring that into context. Sure, you got any comments on that?
Well, I mean, we invented it. White folks didn't invent nappy.
See? Now you called me.
Ain't no white folks saw you on no boat, got you off no boat, and said the word nappy.
So where did it come from then?
That was not. Well, I guess my point is that you have to understand it was difficult to comb in that time period. You did not come with a toiletry bag. You did not come here with the word that you used, Kofi. You didn't come in here with proxy. You didn't come here with agency. You didn't come here with a spa. You didn't come here with no vacation time to luxuriate and take care of yourself. It was. So you're talking about a people under neurological stress. And so when you can't do in your liberties, in your civil liberties, in your mind, in your psychology is under duress, and it has been arrested and taken and stolen and constricted and imprisoned and incarcerated. That's what you do. You make up things. You are talking about a people who were not at their best. And so we don't have to vilify our behavior. There we go again. Who wants to live in a bucket? Well, why do crabs act like that? Because they're in a bucket. You're in America. So you're in the theater of the white man's mind. He only comes up with things barbaric. That was a survival mechanism. But when we did elevate, what did we come in the Harlem Renaissance, in the Renaissance periods all over the world? We were called what? The world's beautiful people. Because when we had and we could do better, we did do better. But nappy is a Black Southern colloquialism. And it was just to be able to cope with the lack of being able to control our beauty process. And I know it's negative, but if we can talk about it in a context that soothes our essence and not degrade it further and traumatically talk about ourselves as if we just were stupid people and we were just doing things that we could, of course we could have done better, but I think we did do better when we could do better. And I think the history and the economics and all of the wonderful things that we did accomplish out of it. And see, that is because we don't want to know what Africa said about Europeans when we got introduced to them. I'm sure that Africa has some words too.
Yeah, quite. I mean, through that festival.
And Europe also has a longer history of having very derogatory words about themselves because they were known as the filthiest, nastiest, dirtiest people, stinkiest people on the planet during colonial times. Now, did they stay that way? Some people beg to differ, but I'm just basically saying I don't necessarily get into the colloquialisms because again, they will subgroup out and they will end up with words like natural hair. And that's the problem that we're trying to get out of. Why don't we just African? Curly. I'm gonna leave it alone after that. That's just
my. And this is why y'all see why I'm glad Cheryl. You down with OPP and you know me. See how she just helped us through that. And see, nobody wants to have these conversations. We want to continue to sit here and say these things, but we need somebody to help navigate us. Because I'll be the first to admit, I was on that boat. Like, you guys got to stop this. But it never dawned on me. Like, and I've heard this, Kofi, and some of you guys' teachings on your show, which, by the way, please subscribe to the Kofi Pie-sigh TV channel. When we don't y'all get off yet. Wait a minute. Hold on. Don't do it just yet. Wait a minute. They talked about, like, some of the things that was happening, during the Civil War, and they would be mad about the Black men who fought in the Civil War. And so they were saying that, look, guys, this was the best that we could do. We had to get through this. So, Cheryl, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping us get that conversation together, because that was the best that we could do. But Kofi has given us some wonderful context that now that we do have agency, perhaps we can, like Cheryl said, when we can do better, we do better. Not do, but do better. Okay, so let's do better and stop the doing and come on with the come on, as my daddy would say, get down with the get down. Y'all gotta be from the 70s to know about come on with the come on and get down with the get down. Y'all know what I'm talking about up in here. All right, Kofi, come on and take us out with what does this hairstyle mean? Help everybody, because my customers are like, ugh, well, what's going on? What's happening here? Are those dreads? Are those locks? So tell us about this hairstyle here
I mean,
with the ochre, so we can understand.
all right, that is one of
Oh, and now, I'm sorry. And can you tell us why you picked this picture?
okay. I am fascinated with the Omo Valley women in Ethiopia. So I did a presentation on Welcome to the Omo Valley with the Karo people and the Himba people. So they have the most beautiful women to me. You know, it's just my opinion. So I wanted to use either the Karo or the Humra woman. So I choose the Humra women and put her face on the book. That hairstyle is what they will call Gocha. It's spelled Goscha. So that's how.
That's my name, Dosha. Don't y'all get it? Come on, now.
Yeah.
Go, hey, congratulate.
So that will be something and almost a style of what we would call kind of like locks today. This was something that the older or the adult women will use. The younger women will have their hair braided, and then when they reach a certain age, they will use ochre and water and resistance to do this type of style for the hair.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Did this style have a name, by the way?
That's what it's called, Gocha.
Gocha. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was her name. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah.
No, okay, yeah. I'm just trying to get my name. You know, I'm from the ghetto. Come on. I'm real projectish. Okay, real projectish. Okay, so that's them with the hairstyle, and you find them to be the most, and they're from Ethiopia, correct?
Yeah, in the Omo Valley.
All right, okay. So tell us before we wrap this up, can you just tell me what, in conclusion, what was the most interesting thing or what really griped you? Like, I'm going to tell you, when I wrote my book, What They Don't Tell You, I didn't bring it with me because it's not about me today. But anywho, when I wrote my book, What They Don't Tell You About the Hair Salon, at the hair salon, the history, it truly griped my stomach. I was floored at the amazing history of Africans and African Americans, particularly, especially African Americans, because my Lord, what have our ancestors done for us to be here? As Cheryl, you have heard her say over and over and over again, they have done the hard work. And I really did not get that until I did research. When you write a book, it is very, very emotional. So help an aspiring indie author or maybe a seasoned author go on your journey of what you discovered and what pained you and what aha you when you wrote this book, Africa's Hair, because this really pays homage, respect. This does a lot to Africa's Hair.
Well, you know, like Cheryl was talking about the things that they went through. They didn't come on here on a paid vacation. They didn't come with their tools packed. So, you know, I feel for them. They went through a lot on the plantation as far as dealing with their hair. You know, one thing that shocked me and made me upset was that they used kerosene in their hair to try to wash their hair with kerosene. Kerosene is something that you use for jet fuel, use for a heater, or use for a lantern. So they would use this dangerous thing that they use for flaming. So I mean, my heart was, you know, was sunken by them going through what they were, and even when you know their image was attacked constantly, you know, doing Tammany Law, you know, you had some women who were free before the emancipation in 1865, and they began to display their beauty and where, you know, and like the Caddo people in what's the name, they wore flowers and feathers and decorated their hair. So, you know, the white women was saying that they was getting too much attention from their white women, so they created this law to stop them from putting their beauty on display by wrapping their hair. But but it was also, the law was also passed. They didn't want to distinguish free black women from enslaved black women because the head wrap became synonymous with being in slavery and on a plantation. It's because that was considered unattractive. So if your hair didn't resemble at the particular time where they wore wigs that resemble the slave owners' wife, they had to wrap their hair up before they come into the house.
Oh, it's amazing that you went through that. The reason why I asked you that, because Dr. Morrow, clearly he has some of the same, experiences in writing his book, where he's showing exactly some of the same things that Cheryl is talking to us about, where he's showing where we didn't have a lot of the things that we needed to care for our hair. I know when I saw the exhibit at the Kent State University Museum of the cornmeal, that really, honestly, it made me want to cry that her dad had this actual cornmeal grinder. To your point, Kofi, what they had to do. Cheryl, where can everyone get your dad's book, 400 Years Without a Comb?
Oh, they can actually get a hold of you, and we can give
Okay.
them a special price because
Waiting
yeah,
for
and we can give a special price, and we also can create distributors, and we can create. There's a digital version of it too. You can get the digital version on your and read it on your tablets and things.
Wow.
Okay,
All
so
right.
but it's interesting that by the time we did get to and I know we talk about slavery in such a way, and this is what we're trying to expand the conversation, but we came here as chemists, we came here as alchemists, we came here so the survival, even though the environment was not appropriate for our ethos, but in how we would not understand as Black Americans now, because of the zenith and the sophistication and the contingents and standards have been risen in our life, but in the way we live our life now. But kerosene is almost neutral. See, neutral kerosene is almost used as an elixir. But you see, Europe didn't know that, but an African would. So it was used almost like a cleanser, even though it was used. But they also knew, because Africa knew, that if you heated it long enough, you can illuminate a room. But you only use what you could because you were deprived. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to get Black people to understand is that America is young compared to Europe. And so when they talk about Europe, we have to learn how to talk about Africa, because we came here in the Western world by the second and third time. Slavery was the last time, was not our first and second time in the Western world. And I know we go back to slavery sometimes, you know what I mean? And so, but if we have got to get our people out of the 20th century, and we have to, and people like Kofi and people like self, we have to bring a 21st century conversation to, because if we are the alpha and the omega, we got to get to the omega part.
Before us, there were none, and after us, there will be no more, says Brother Khalid Muhammad. Okay.
Right, because we're missing all of the elements, because we just keep talking about, because hey, you affected Europe's style just as much as you did Africa's style. You really had a deep influence over Arabic culture, Byzantine, the Ottoman Empire, the Turkish Jews, and the whole night. You had a lot of influence everywhere. And I think that once we can wrap our minds, and slavery is an element, but it's a very
somebody said come again. Say what when you say you? Who are you that influenced all of those places?
Africa has influence more than just the Western world. You're talking about Europe and you're talking about the Islamic world. You're talking about the Mediterranean world. You're talking about the Roman Empire, Carthage, Tunisia, Alexandria. You have influenced Asia. You influenced, you have to think about Africa's enormous. It is so enormous that it almost takes your breath away, that how benevolent it was, to the point where it has given its identity almost to everyone. So you're looking at Africanness almost in the face, because it's not just the fact that, but here's the thing: the Black woman, because she was deprived, she felt that he was infringing. But that's not Afrocentric, because Africa is the motherland. We have everything. And if you want to express it and braid your hair, whatever the case may be, see, Afrocentricity never felt insecure about anything. That's the point. And I think that we have to get out of the kind of little social illnesses that, yes, Black people have experienced, but it kind of dampens the whole enormous gamut of what the whole African identity is. Africa is humanity, period. In the story. And
Yeah.
whatever subsequent that we gave them, we can do it culturally, tribally, ancestrally, in all these low levels, but we have a tendency to stay in one little level here, because that's where the most trauma and the most pain is. But we have to supersede it and supersede it, because if we don't, we're going to keep talking about it in a way that doesn't move us forward.
And I'm just here to tell you, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your Watusi, Kofi, but this is an excellent book that's going to help move the needle. I
Absolutely.
commend you. I have mad respect. This was not he made it very simple. It's an easy read, and I'm not trying to dumb anybody down, but when you read this book, it is literally as if Kofi is talking to you. You are talking to like your brethren, somebody you could just let your hair down, no pun intended. And like Cheryl said, get the information, digest it, and let's get out of the 20th century and let's come on and use this information to be unapologetically African, is what Kofi is saying. He says before, during, and after. So he didn't just keep us, he didn't keep us back there. He took us to infinity and beyond. He took us to infinity and beyond. Sutek wants to come back because he wants to hear that conversation. When you said, we put it up here. I see you, Sutek. Hold on. We'll go off the grid for a little bit for y'all. Cheryl will. I'm just going to be the instigator. What he said? He said, wait a minute, guys. Hold up. She said, he said no when she said slavery wasn't the first time Black Africans came to America. So maybe we can have a sidebar conversation with you, Sutek, and we can have that a little bit more, but that's very interesting. Danny said he would like to be a distributor. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Kofi, tell us about your same tree, different. Am I saying that right, Kofi?
Your same tree, different branch publishing.
Okay, so tell us about Same Tree, Different Branch Publishing, because typically when you do these things, we know we have a lot of aspiring authors in the chat or who's going to watch this post live. So how can you help people who want to be like you?
Like I said, I got a small publishing company called Same Tree, Different Branch Publishing. It's small right now, but it's growing. I stay busy. Doing other people's books. I'm the cheapest out there right now on the market. I said I was gonna go up in February because some of the clients I've been dealing with, I don't make enough. They not paying me enough to be doing what I'm doing, but I'm the cheapest on the market. I mean, I tell anybody before you contact me, we can go through a consultation call. And then I always tell people go through the consultation call before you book me, my company, to publish your book. go check out these other publishing companies and see what they have to offer. They always come back because I'm the cheapest, I'm affordable, I work with you, and I can do everything they do. My company connected to a global network. I can get you on any marketplace, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books of Millions, Target, Walmart.com, wherever I can get you on there. But
All right.
don't buy my book from none of those markets. Get my book
Please
direct
don't.
from me.
That's right. I'm on Kofi's side. I'm on Amazon, but y'all come on and y'all buy Cheryl's book from me because I'm a distributor too. Mika would like a signed copy.
Yes,
So what I will do, Mika, is if you can email me, Mika at ladoshaw@yahoo.com, and I will connect you with Cheryl so you can get a signed copy because I'm not gonna be ghetto and forge it because you know I will do that.
I'm
You
gonna
know
be
what I'm
mad.
saying? I will.
Mad if Tamika get a copy, and I've been asking for a copy for about 6 months.
Cheryl.
I'll pay for it.
America's favorite podcast. We got book wars going down. Who's gonna get the signed copy?
I want a copy.
Well. First of all, let me just say this because I have been in Kofi, and this would be an interest to you as well. I have been in talks with because when I found out that Douglas Emery, and y'all should know who that is. He was the artist of the original Black Panther newspaper. When I found out that they did not trademark anything or copyright anything, I was pissed. So, but I say that to say that
Kofi, we're losing you in the frame. Can you scoot over, Kofi? Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I said that to say I coerced, nicely coerced Mr. Morrow while he was in the body to sign his books, all of them. And so all of you, but we'll have a signed copy of 400 Years Without a Comb if you decide to have one, because as an heir, you got to think about things before they happen. Okay, you got to think about things before they happen because our wonderful geniuses do not always live forever. They don't always live forever. So they give us a gift and then they go on. Yeah. And so, but we also have to get together as publishers. We have got to be able to publish because that's part of changing the narrative. That is, we were the first ones to write on the papyrus. We were the first one to do mathematical equations. We were the first ones to do formulation in chemistry and things of that nature. So that we got to get back to that. And so we have to also, we can't wait for the states to, accredit our cosmetology and arts and chemistry books. We have to print them. Okay. And so that I commend Kofi. Kofi, that's how you do it, brother. That's how you do it. That's it. You kin to Mr. Morrow with that situation. Yeah. You don't wait until nobody do nothing. You do it yourself.
And that's why, go ahead, Kofi, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying I hate, and I started to prolong the book because once I started hearing you talk about your father and hearing how he expired Ladosha and she finally met her and how he changed her life, I wanted to add him in the book, but I ain't gonna never get this book out if I do it.
So, right.
But what I wanted to do was, with your permission, was maybe next month I wanted to write an article, about your father, you know what I'm saying, and get it out to people that might not know, because that's crazy. I've been studying this for 4 or 5 years and I never knew about him until I actually started watching y'all podcast and
interesting.
I started doing some research and I'm like, wow.
And let me tell you, I hate to interrupt, but Dr. Morrow will blow a. Neferu said he want one. I'm telling y'all, this is like the Bible. I mean, if you into that kind of stuff, and this book will blow your M&F and mind, and you will shut that book, and you will be unapologetically whoever you are, no matter where you live on this planet. Because, like she said, Africa is we are the mothers and fathers of humanity, and we must use this to be inclusive and not exclusive. Dr. Willie Morrow was not one to own this, but to understand that he had a greater responsibility than to himself. So when you guys get this book on everything I own, you will be a changed person, and you will share it with your loved ones. So with that being said, we are so proud to announce, as we wrap this up, Kofi, there are no words to thank you except we got to have a part two, because as you
Absolutely.
can see, you drowned the chat. We kept everybody's. You know what? We love y'all so much. Y'all never drop off. Y'all always rock it out with us. And Kofi just added a whole lot of value to our podcast, to our live stream, to our mission that is really all about liberation. But as you guys know, Afro hair is in a very fickle pickle right now. So we have two issues. One, we have the issue of the relaxers, where people are saying things like it's bad, it's causing cancer. We see people in the chat. But I think Danny wrote that his mom used gasoline to clean. Cheryl just broke down how we use that kerosene and it's neutral. So this alchemy of Africa is beyond what any of us can imagine. So this word chemical has a really bad feeling in the European American way, but in the African essence of the alchemy coming out of Africa, we use chemicals responsibly, not with the intent to harm anybody. That's number one. Number two, the term natural hair has got to be the most un-African term ever, because it has a tone that is for Black people. And this is not African, guys. Like Cheryl said, tightly coiled hair is the giver of all the other textures. So with that being said, we are proud to announce that we need you guys' help right now. I'm going to just pull it up here, that Cheryl and I have taken the bold move to actually create, we put it up here first, to create an actual petition. And so this petition is Afro Cosmetology Against Junk Research Movement. Help stop relaxer scare tactics. We refuse to let junk research wipe out over 100 years of our Black men and women's contribution to the beautification, the altering, chemical altering, safely, altering textured hair. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And whoops, let me come back here. Sorry. I'm going to, I'm sorry. There it goes up there. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. We are going to be going buck wild. We want everybody to share the petition. And we must save this wonderful alchemy of relaxing hair. This is not a bad thing. Cheryl's going to talk about it right quick before we wrap up. And then last but not least, we want the Ladies Book of Cosmetology to incorporate Afro cosmetology into the curriculum of cosmetology, to end forever the divisiveness of Afro hair and make it an inclusionary part of learning about barbering and the wonderful world of cosmetology. So Cheryl, to people who are saying, y'all ninjas is crazy, relaxers cause cancer. The hell what y'all saying? It burned my skin, it creeped into my uterus, and I got cancer. You say what to the anti-chemical people who swears that relaxers are so horrible?
Okay. I'm not going to am not going to really get into in terms of politics, or even get into it in terms of culture. What I will get into is this. I will get into the fact that we just talked about publishing, right? And we also talked about chemistry. And we also talked about fashion. We also talked about jewelry making. And we also talked about tens of other liberal arts that Africans have given to the world. Chemical prowess to understand elements, to understand alchemy, to understand turning lead into gold, gold into silver, dealing with protons, electrons, and neutrons, and being able to manipulate the elements. The key here is that it's not about if one is culturally wrong or socially wrong, bad for your health, good for your health. One of the things that we have to understand is that we are in the most capitalist society on earth. We are born here, we are westernized Africans, okay? And here is what's at stake. What's at stake is not just the fact that we can rely on our morals and rely on what's good and what's bad, and then we can sit up here and fight. While me and you are sitting up here fighting about minors, the major is being taken, and that is all of the industrial power and trillions of dollars that will be reaggregated and refueled out of our communities because we decide to talk about something so minute that has nothing to do with the fact that your skin ain't gonna get any lighter, your lips ain't gonna get any thinner, your nose ain't gonna get any wider. You gonna still be black, look black, be black, behind gonna be big, chest gonna be the same way, hands, you're gonna still play basketball the same way, you still gonna run faster. It has nothing to do with anything. But while we're talking about the diminishing a minor about whether you want to relax or somebody else should relax, or because we weren't doing it for that. Garrett Morgan did not create the relaxer for that. He was trying to make you survive the most nastiest, vicious, murderous environment that you were not used to. And you had to do as the Romans did. And you created an industry out of it to the point where you can feed your families, the Portmans and the beauty supplies and the barbershops and all of the other, you know, consecutive things that could come out of being and now, you know, running your own economic in your communities. My whole thing is that people, black folks, let's not get caught in minors. And if we're going to do research, why don't we say to the world, if we're going to do research, we'll do it. We will own it because we love ourselves. And in the hair, that those hair books and all those formulas Mr. Morrow used to walk around, his Afrophilia, his affection for his people drove his genius. And that in the goal of when the elements clicked and said, here is the formula, here's the organic formula, here's the answer. We want to benefit. We want the money. We want the economic power, and we run it. And then we give it to people third and fourth and fifth. But we eat the lion's share. That's the goal. We got to keep our eye on the prize and don't get caught in the minors when people want choices to wear their hair one way or another.
I was just mesmerized. This is what we're talking about. The beauty industry has infinite income earning potential. There are a plethora of careers that were built and continue to be built. Someone just wrote in the chat that we need to have our books like in digitized forms. So writing books, creating hair products, reimagining so much in the beauty industry. Chemicals have a place. Yes. In the beauty industry. Contrary to popular belief, we do have a rich history of moving those molecules around. And it is Cheryl's and I goal. It is our sole purpose of what we're doing today is to make sure that future scientists, future engineers, future scholars continue to do things like write a book. We hope that we will see another child come on and say, I saw Kofi's book and I decided I wanted to write a book about China's hair. You see what I'm saying? We want to make this, go a lot further. We don't want to diminish it. So if you guys could be so kind to help spread the petition, sign the petition, of course. And we respect everybody's, personal choices to how they choose to wear their hair. But vilifying relaxers are limited and misinformation, such as junk research that relaxers causes cancer, when they made abundantly clear at the bottom of the research. It is inconclusive. They will not say that relaxers cause cancer. So, Kofi, can you wrap us up with some last words about this wonderful book, Africa's Hair, and where you're going to be at next? I hear you on a book tour and all this other good stuff. And me and Cheryl want to come on your show, by the way.
Yeah, y'all. I told you, y'all more than welcome. Whenever y'all get ready, just let me know, man. We'll definitely set it up, man.
All right. Okay. So this book is available right now, and the website. He dropped it in the chat, and I will also put it in the chat with the live, so you guys can get your book. And then we'll also make sure, if you email me at ladoshaw@yahoo.com, we will make sure that you get a copy of your book. I won't take the money, Cheryl, I promise. Go back. And by the way, I did say that I was going to buy a couple of books and give these books away. So I'm going to give away. There were 3 people who hopped in the chat, and let me go back up. And they're going to be.
I read mine in one night.
I did too. It was the bomb. So the first 3 people who are going to get a book, because they came in live. Mika, you get one. Marion, if you come back through. And Danny, if you guys email me at ladoshaw@yahoo.com, you guys will receive your very own copy of Kofi Pie-sigh's book, Africa's Hair, Before, During, and After Slavery. We will keep with the book giveaways, where hopefully, Kofi, we can have some of your books at our Afro Hair Science Conference. So maybe you can ship us some out, and we will sell them for you. I'll keep a little bit of money, Kofi. You know me, Kofi. I'll be like this: 1, 2 for Kofi, 2 for me. You know what I'm saying, Kofi? So Kofi, it's official. Kofi said his books will be available at the Afro Hair Science Summit. Perhaps you could sign a few copies for us, Kofi, and I will be glad to represent and share the books. If you want to come to Cleveland, of course, you're more than welcome. But if not, I will be there. That's it. That's how we do it, yo. God dang. That's what the hell I'm talking about.
I wasn't coming unless I got invited, though. I don't go.
All right. Well, Kofi is invited. He's going to be there with us. All right, Danny, you got your book coming. I will be singing to you every time I see you in the chat, until you know this is how it's going down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and y'all rocked it out. Nobody got off. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the world's favorite live stream and podcast about hair. We're talking about the dumbest shit that people say about black hair. And don't forget to get Kofi's book. Deuces.
All right.